live.
Still waiting. I haven't gotten the notification yet. Okay, here it is. Party. All right, start the video and take off the our emblem. Mark,
What?
take off the emblem. Let's start. Let me know when that's done.
Should be wait. I'm waiting for.
Huh?
Waiting.
For what?
Stay in it. There you go.
What are you doing?
Waiting.
Well, I thought we were already live.
We are live.
Well, then how come it takes a second to turn on the video?
Delay.
So are we live video? I'm just not seeing it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can start.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Mark starts talking in his Greedo green-skinned alien language, and I don't know what the hell he's saying. But anyway, Stormcrow. I'm sorry we're running late. Unfortunate things happen. It is what it is. This is episode number 34, Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, with my wonderful lightsaber acrobatic ninja host, Mark Potter. And then, of course, Lola with her new haircut, and she looking cute. She's also now 9 years old, a venerated lady, yes. And then, of course, me, JD Glasscock. So we have some great guests tonight, so let's just get down to it. Who do you want to bring on first, Mark?
Let's bring in.
What?
Jenna Curtis.
All right, guys. Wonderful actress, singer, songwriter, amazing person with a lot of spirit and heart. Let's bring on Jenna Curtis. Jenna, you're turned sideways.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought happen? I don't know. I didn't change anything. I think you were sideways. You were actually off.
I don't know. I'm looking at you sideways. There you go. Now you're back. Okay, there you go.
Just had to flip it, I guess.
And then here we go with our next guest, who's a very skilled DP director. Just did a film with Eric Roberts and quite a few other people. Colten Dietz, let's bring him on. Hey, Colten.
Oh, he's not off. Okay.
There he is. Look at those stylish glasses, man.
Yeah. The ones I bought after my car crashed last year.
Hey, I had to start wearing glasses for the first time in my life, like a year ago?
Really?
It took a while to get used to.
Yeah, I'm blind as a bat, basically.
Hey, I should have had him 10 years ago. I mean, literally, but I kept lying to myself and saying I didn't need him.
My best friend's doing the same thing right now, and I know he's blind because whenever we drive together, he isn't able to see a sign until we're like about to crash into it.
No, and it got to the point where like so much glare was happening at night when I was driving. I'm like, man, I'm gonna kill myself if I don't get glasses.
Hey, Lola. Lola, right?
Yeah, Lola, yes.
Beautiful.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much for coming on. It's amazing. It's actually a good time to do talk shows because everyone's kind of like locked down on a lot of stuff. So it's happy for me to also not only bring shine to artists, but also for people at home something different to do and instead of Netflix all the time. Although Colten, your video just went. Oh, there you go. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to start with Jenna. Jenna, in the last couple of years, what is a project you have done that you're very passionate about, intense about, that you loved and thought came out great?
Well, the most fun projects that I've been part of were actually always projects where I was playing some sort of a creature. And
so like latex, or is it post effect?
More like special effects, but more like a zombie or a robot and
So
or
practical.
vampires. And I think I have the natural vampire teeth. So people like casting me for that a lot.
So what film in the last 2 years you did a vampire role? Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, we had there was a short film where I won Best Actress for playing a zombie, and the film was called Apple of My Eye. And
That's
it was
a cute title for a zombie flick, Apple of My Eye.
Apple of My Eye. Yeah, where I was playing a mother that was turning into a zombie, and instead of killing my son, I was actually pulling my heart out and giving it to him. And at the end of the movie, so it was a pretty bloody.
Although zombies have been used so much, man, I want to see like, let's give a little love to maybe ghouls and whites, man. Like zombies have been used so much. Let's use a different undead creature. Like let's
Colten.
so maybe ghouls and whites, man. That would be good, man.
Absolutely. And I usually don't watch those things. That's the fun part about it. I play all these roles, but I stay away personally from watching those things because they just.
Yeah, I grew up on Dungeons and Dragons, man. I'm very familiar with various undead types, man. So there are other undead types that they could use besides zombies and vampires.
A lich would be cool.
Yeah. So that was one. That was and then there was another film where I was playing a robot, and it was called The Man and Mel, and I was kind of a service robot for a blind man, and that was a very interesting experience because I was supposed to have no emotions. And
very
so
cool. Ex Machina, I thought was probably one of the best robot type movies I've seen in decades.
Absolutely.
Ex Machina, if you haven't seen that, that's a great film, Ex Machina. Or Machina, or I don't know how you say
Machina.
it. Machina.
Machina.
Yeah, whatever you want to say. It was a good film. It was a good flick. And then for animated, I thought Alita, the one that just came out, I thought was pretty good. The Warrior, Alita Warrior, whatever.
Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm totally into those roles anyways. And I think first when I started acting, I felt like I needed to change my accent. I needed to work on my accent. But then I noticed that the roles that I enjoy playing, they all require some sort of an accent. And
there's nothing wrong with accents, man, at all. I utilize in many of my films. I've utilized actresses with accents. I don't have I don't see any issue with having an accent at all.
Yeah,
I mean, for certain roles, it's not going to work.
Exactly. I will not be able to play an American woman, and that's also not my goal because I don't feel like that matches.
And if a director likes you, they can always work that accent somehow into the storyline or whatever.
Yeah, but there's also so many American women, so I'm not trying to.
And people live all over the world now, so it's not very strange anymore to hear someone in America with an accent or to see someone somewhere else that has an accent.
Exactly. So also another side, I mean, I love all these creature movies and roles, but I also enjoy really the undercover agents and the Bond girls. And I've been actually shooting.
Well, that's right up Colten's alley. Colten does stuff like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Awesome.
he does stuff along the more thriller action kind of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Stuff.
Like spies. I mean, I'm an Austrian spy, so I fit in all these. I'm undercover, and we're actually shooting the show opener for Whiskey Cavalier, and I was the body double for Lauren Cohen, and it was like a little fighting stunt scene that we were doing. So I really enjoy playing around with guns and chasing bad guys, and
very cool.
Yeah,
that is awesome. Well, we're gonna drop back to you in a second, Jenna, but let's get to Colten. Colten, what is a project you have done in the last couple of years that you thought was amazing and intense, and you thought the end result was very beautiful?
I don't know about beautiful, but I worked on this film that had a lot of production issues. I was brought in as the AD, and I won't get into the details of it or the
Wow,
name.
AD is very different than directing, but yeah.
Well, anyways, the director sucked. She didn't know what she was doing, and the producers knew I was a director, so they fired her, and then I got promoted to the director.
Wow.
And so I AD'd and directed that film, which, as you know, they're about as opposite as they can be, and it's
that's idea. Like both of those jobs are like two of the most important jobs. I don't know how one person rolls that.
Well, it was a nightmare, and we were shooting in Louisiana. I won't even say what kind of genre the film was, but you know, I met some of the hardest working people I've ever worked with in film in Louisiana, and it was honestly a great. I mean, I still talk to some of the people, but it was just, you know, it was interesting. I mean, I remember when I was hired, I asked them, like, you know, weather-wise, because I'm used to the West Coast. I was like, "How's the weather?" And they're like, "Oh, no, it's fine. It's all good." Well, if you've ever been to Louisiana, the weather's bipolar. It might be hot 1 hour, and then it starts raining, and then
it's kind of like Hawaii, isn't it?
No, it's kind of like
it can get down to 30 degrees, and then 2 hours later it's 80 degrees. Like, and it's
no. I mean, I lived in Hawaii for 2 years, and it'd be like super sunny. Then it would rain for 40 minutes, and then it would be sun again. Then it would rain again. Then it would.
Oh, it's like the Texas. It's like the weather here in Texas.
Yeah, it was like that. And so there were some nights we were filming this really large something I like to do as a director is I like to do a lot of really intense. I like to make my actors actually act. I don't like to cut away from the action. I like to stay on. So I shoot my films more in line of how like a film was shot in the 60s. I do very minimalistic camera angles. I like to cover a lot in tracking shots. I like to really make like for instance, I'm not a big Fast and the Furious movie fan because to me it shows that the actors and the action is not directed and acted that well when you have to have an actor do 10 camera angles to throw a punch at someone and they're changing angles like that. It honestly hurts my eyes.
Yeah, they're cheating the camera by doing a bunch of cuts.
It hurts my head. Like when they're doing it that fast.
It was way too many cuts. Yeah.
So anyways, like we shot this awesome fight sequence. It was all a tracking shot, all in one. It took us about 10 hours to film because it's a 5-minute shot. And they go in and out of the house, upstairs, around the property. But we're dealing with that as it's storming, raining outside, and we're
so you're using what?
We were using an action.
Were you using a Steadicam?
We were using a 4K action cam because it's a lot less weight. So my DP likes to shoot with that instead.
So it's like a shoulder mount.
Oh no! Action cam is basically another brand. Think of a GoPro; it's another brand of that. And
a small camera that you got hooked on.
Yeah, and so we have a little dolly set up for that, but my DP likes to use it because it weighs a lot less than just putting a big camera on a Steadicam.
Yeah, Steadicam or whatever.
So that was fun to shoot, but just the experience and the rapport I made.
Hey, it's through the horror that we as filmmakers learn, man. Like literally, like I learned so. I wish it didn't happen, but I learned so much from shit going to shit.
Yeah.
Than I did in complete smooth arena, And as filmmakers, we know that nothing is ever smooth. You start shooting film, it's like I think Murphy's Law was created, even though film wasn't back then. Murphy's Law was created for film.
Oh, absolutely. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong on set.
Yes.
no matter how much you prepare stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's fun, though.
Yeah, that's
That's
very
fun,
cool,
though.
man. So what was the genre of that piece?
So that was a again, I guess you would call it like a horror drama film because it's a supernatural type movie.
So supernatural thriller or supernatural
Yeah,
drama?
yeah. Well, it's a love. To me, when I read the script, it seemed like a crappy Twilight ripoff. But like I said, I don't want. I don't want to.
Well, you didn't write it, man. You directed it, so
yeah.
really, it's about the cinematography.
Yeah, but
the only thing you can take credit for is the cinematography. Now, luckily, I'm a writer and director, so I only direct shit I write. But I can imagine as a freelance director, sometimes you just get, especially when you're starting out, you just get handed a lemon and you're trying to like make it into something beautiful. You know what I mean?
Well, it was more that the director that got fired, she's a friend of mine now, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, you're trying to dance. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be politically correct. I get it, man.
Yeah.
But still, you probably learned a shitload from dealing with the experience. So.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't really like directing stuff that isn't my stuff. What I like about directing my own scripts is I know exactly in my head every little like I'm just saying personally for me, I could read if you showed me a script and I could read it 8 times and I'm still not going to be in love with it as much as something that I personally.
Well, and you're not having it with your own script. You're not having to think as hard about how you want to shoot it. If you wrote it, you know how you want to shoot it because you probably wrote it like that.
Yeah, and I've noticed most feature films that aren't the big, huge blockbusters. So basically, almost everything nowadays, but like your Marvels and your big sequel movies, if you look at it, either A, the director is the writer of the movie, or he had something to do with the writing process. He or she had something to do with the writing process. I've noticed it's very a great example of the movie Bad Times at the El Royale, which was one of my favorite movies that came out 2 years ago. The writer was the director of that movie. And if you look at it, the list goes on and on. It's a lot more.
Yeah, but unfortunately, also you have directors that think they're writers.
Oh yeah,
that probably shouldn't be writing.
Oh yeah, no. There's and it's the same thing. There's writers that try to become directors
that shouldn't be directing. Yeah,
and they're paid. I've seen that too. Where
Frank Miller is a good example of that, man.
Yeah,
Frank Miller. I love his comic books. I love his writing. I love all that stuff. But the dude shouldn't direct. Like he tried to, he got so excited about Sin City because that's a Frank Miller comic book, and then Rodriguez brought him on set and all that kind of stuff, and let him be involved. And then he went and did The Spirit because all of a sudden he thought he was like a director, and that film was like horrible, man.
Yeah.
And I love Frank Miller. Frank Miller's a great writer. He wrote Ronin and a lot of other stuff, but and he wrote obviously Sin City is based on his comic books. But there's a large difference between writing a comic book and
absolutely,
and directing a film. But I hear you, man. That's very cool. Let's bounce back to Jenna, and then we'll come right back to Colten. Jenna, what is a current project? I know we got COVID going on, all that kind of stuff. So I'll even give you a little leeway. What is a current project or a project soon upcoming that you're excited about and passionate about?
I am actually getting ready for a role, for an action role. So I started a whole new eating and workout routine just a few days ago, so I can kick ass. And also,
so the role it's an action role. So can you tell us any kind of the log line or any thematic about it?
Well, I'm actually not supposed to talk about too much, but all I can say is it's going to be real fun, and it will require me to run around.
Is it a feature or short?
It's a feature. It's an indie feature, and I'm super excited about it. Also because it really helped me to get my butt off the couch through COVID and get moving again and preparing, and so I'm very excited about that to come up. I think we will be starting to shoot. I mean, the plan is end of June. I don't know if we have the opportunity to do that by then, but this is something I'm working on right now. And also, what came out of COVID is my own TV show that I'm hosting, and not TV show. It's a talk show Maybe in the future it will be on TV. Who knows? But we're doing a talk show, and it's called Jen on Air. I also have a live podcast every Saturday, and so this is what I'm currently doing.
Yeah,
I'm
and you
very
do a lot of
busy.
singing, I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an artist myself, of course, so I love all of it. I'm musical theater trained, so I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to act, and ideally combine everything all together. And I think I've had the opportunity to do so. I had the honor to work with a David Fincher CP, Jeff Cronenweth, who shot the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl.
The original
And-
Dragon Tattoo I liked a lot. I don't know about the American version, but
Yeah, it was this one, the girl with the dragon tattoo, and yeah, so we created something where I was able to sing, and it was actually a commercial that we were shooting together. Very beautiful. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. It's called Real Life, and it's Volvo. It's a Volvo commercial. That was very beautiful, and I think this is what I'm working on. I'm working on more projects that combine all my talents and passions and bring it
well, I
all
wish
together.
you the best of luck. I mean, I tried to do that once. I came to a directing set in just a superhero cape and my sumo thong, and it didn't work out very well for me. But still, man, like literally, you know, we gotta try stuff. You know, we gotta put our stuff out
Hey,
there, you know.
you gotta be open to making to just embarrassing yourself a little bit too. Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with Mark. Mark has like tried to go for audition where he came in showing his lightsaber acrobatic skills, but when he did his first backflip, he accidentally smacked the casting director with his lightsaber, so he didn't end up getting that role. But you know, you got to put yourself out there. You got to do what you can do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's the hero life.
No, that is very cool though, Jenna. I'm happy for you. I hope the feature actually starts in June. But
Thanks.
don't get discouraged if it's pushed back a little bit.
No, I keep on preparing, and so I'll be ready.
No,
sure.
I had to deal with that. I mean, my first major feature is supposed to be at the end of this year, and it might not be until the beginning of next year, but it happens, man. Such is life, existence.
Oh, I know. In this industry, nothing's really happening until it's happening.
Yeah, just keep pushing yourself, man. You'll keep doing what you do. It'll open doors. Now, Colten, what is a current project you are working on? I already know what it is because you keep throwing photos up of it.
Yeah.
But not everybody that's going to watch this now or in the future will know that. So, what is a current project that you are in love with that gets your Jones on?
Well, I'm actually kind of doing two, but because we're set to, I'm directing another film right after we wrap this one up. We're doing that in a couple of months, and then I'm actually producing a film for a buddy of mine who's a director.
Well, hold
so
some of that because we're going to hit future stuff here in a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm directing a movie called Exposure, which is a old school neo-noir romantic thriller film. And the type of scripts I like to write are very down-to-earth screenplays, character dramas. And so the film's very down-to-earth. There's no really over-the-top characters. The best example I could kind of compare it to is kind of imagine Ryan Gosling's Drive mixed with a little bit of Breaking Bad and some Scarface elements. That's sort of
Hey, we were just talking about that because I just got done watching for like the third time Nice Guys.
Yeah.
With Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. I watched it right before literally we started the show. Yeah. And I love that film. I think the dialogue is great, the 70s setting. It's very skillful script.
Well, basically with my script, it's more like Drive, which I don't know if you saw Drive.
I remember it.
But it's a very slower paced film. But basically in the film, the main character is a PI, and he used to be an FBI agent, and his partner basically kind of, went through some stuff and he got killed. So he has kind of like lone survivor, like depression. And so he ends up leaving the FBI. And so a few years later, he's asked to kind of come back on and help with the case. And, through that, he slowly falls in love with a former client of his. And he slowly starts to reveal corruption within the Arizona Real Estate Commission. So it's, and then some people, but we filmed in, like, for the budget that we had, which was basically nothing. We filmed at nightclubs. We filmed at the Phoenix Theater.
I love the blue lighting you were using.
Yeah, that was a local strip club to Phoenix, and believe it or not, one of the actresses on the film her day job is a stripper, and she got us that for completely free. I didn't pay a dime for that. They let us come in at like 3 in the morning when they closed, and we had to be out by 11.
Although I can tell by the lighting and the camera work that you have decent equipment. So
yeah, we were shooting on a Blackmagic, my Blackmagic 4K.
Oh, I love Blackmagic, especially for
yeah,
noir, but their files are so huge.
Oh, absolutely. They're insane, man.
I've never used one for simply that reason. Like, I'm like, dude, like their file size is like so effing huge, man. It's like ridiculous, dude.
But basically, yeah, we had a lot of fun on set. You know, there was one scene that, again, we're making on a very tight budget. And luckily in my home state, because I'm in the Arizona film office, is one of, like, if you go on their website, I'm one of their like 10 listed directors. It doesn't really mean crap, but I have a good reputation in my state.
No, but
so
if it leads to work, it means something.
But I mean, I was able to get 80 extras to show up on set for free for a big party scene, which, you know, so.
But if they ever created a camera specifically for noir, it's Blackmagic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the shots, like I said, for what we had and kind of just the early adapters and some of the people.
Well, you had Eric Roberts in that, didn't you?
Yeah, Eric Roberts. He's the main villain in the film. So we had him on set for 3 days, and he's actually scheduled to come out for a 4th day.
Did you have to bring out big poster cards?
Yeah, absolutely. And his last film, they got canceled because of the coronavirus thing. That's the only thing left we have to shoot. But I went ahead and gave my editor the footage so he could start. You know, that we weren't just sitting around waiting for the corona to clear up.
No, but you have to make the giant poster cards for his dialogue.
Oh, no. So what we did for him, it was kind of funny. So
because he's renowned. I love Eric Roberts, but he's renowned for never knowing his dialogue.
So I produced a movie that we did that, and what again, like I said, as a director, it goes against how I like to direct a scene. I like my actors. I get these cool locations. I want them to choose a scene. The problem when you give poster cards to Eric Roberts is he basically has to sit here and you basically have to shoot the shot like a 10-year-old making their first. Yeah, very boring. So what I did is I had my my actor would read his line, and then so usually on the other actor we would go through the whole scene with them. That way we had all the emotion, all the action.
Let me guess, you broke it up.
Yeah,
you fed him parts of each line and then had him do them.
Yeah, so it would be funny, but like for instance, Tank Jones, which is the African American FBI agent, the second main character in the film, when they're interrogating him, he would say a line. Then my AD would say the line to Eric Roberts. Then Eric Roberts would say the line back to the detective actor. Then Tank Jones would. So he had.
I know. I already could guess what you were doing. You broke up the dialogue. You basically off camera told him the line, then shot again with him saying the line, then kept doing that over and over and over.
It was, like I said, he's a great guy. He has an amazing attitude. I have nothing bad to say about him.
No, he's a good-hearted guy, but he's renowned for never knowing his dialogue.
But it's like my buddy said, Vic, who, if you Google him, you know, he's the biggest anime voice actor in America. He's done everything from Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, too many animes to name. Cartoon Network shows, Disney Channel cartoon shows. And, you know, we're pals. We've grown a friendship working in film together. He's also done live action stuff like Star Trek Continues, which was a really big web series, and you know, some smaller roles in shows like CSI. Anyways, you know, he was in the film, and I remember privately he was like, you know, tell Eric Roberts to learn his fucking lines. He's like, we're an actor, that's our job.
No, I mean,
like,
he's had a reputation for like the last decade. Of doing that, dude. Literally.
He just doesn't care.
And you know who else does that? Because I think we talked about this before, where I worked for 8 years in LA, I worked as a stand-in and union background for a living. And Chevy Chase.
Really?
Yeah, dude, on Community, man. Literally, I'd be like standing in for like I was like a day player stand-in or whatever. Like I was just their utility or whatever. And I'd be standing in for some arbitrary guest star. And literally, the PA would be holding poster board like this big behind camera for like Chevy Chase's dialogue.
Wow. Wow.
I'd be cracking up, man. But you know what? It was also funny though, because Chevy Chase, dude, he has a little bit of a negative reputation. But I want to tell you a small story that no one would know about. So I remember going there. I only worked it once every month and a half. I'd come in for utility stand-in or something like that. And I remember once getting there 6 a.m. and they shot on Warner Brothers stages. I don't know. Have you ever been to Warner Brothers stages? So there's like a lot of stages. Okay, so I remember walking from the gate all the way. Their stage was way back away from the gate. So I remember walking all the way to the gate, and I was hungry. I was like 6 in the morning. I wanted to get to the breakfast line or whatever. So I get towards the stage door. Out comes Chevy Chase in his bathrobe, because I guess he was just in there doing like a rehearsal or something like that. So he's still wearing his bathrobe. And he's got a PA that's assigned to him because they need a PA assigned to him because he'll wander off and do other shit. So the PA's leading him out of the stage door, and here he comes. Here comes a big grip truck down the road. Chevy sees it. I'm coming this way walking. Chevy sees it. He looks at it. I right in front of me, he hands his coffee cup that he had in his hand to his PA. He walks towards the truck. The truck's slowly rumbling down. He just gets on the ground and lays right in front of the truck.
Really?
The truck stops and he goes, "I will not let you go any further." It was like 6 in the morning, man. Like,
Hey,
literally.
Gandalf.
Oh my God, dude. It was like crack up. The PA's like, please, Chevy, get up. So whatever, man. There's idiosyncrasies. All I've ever also heard about Eric, though, is he's always very polite to everybody and very courteous to everybody. So
the only thing that's funny about him is he's very particular. So like when my DP was shooting, right? Every shot, every scene he was in, he would go up to my DP or he would go up to me and be like, "Hey, boss, make sure the camera's raised up to here. I don't want to see this. I want to see this." And he would like tap it because now that, when people get in their 60s and 70s, they start getting that double chin kind of.
So he wanted Sergio Leone.
Yeah, he wants to not have any of that wrinkly stuff down there. And so, he
That's
he
a little
would,
insecure, but okay.
But every shot he would tell me that, and then same thing if like
Yeah, but what happens when you want a wide?
I would kind of just fit with him and tell him, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a stab." Like I would kind of calm him down by it's like at the end of the day, it's like, "Hey, I'm paying."
Yeah, or you want a mid shot or a 2 shot? Or...
Yeah. It was more for close ups, like if I wanted to, like a head, if we're gonna shoot on like a 50.
So he wanted to hit. I love those shots anyway. I'm a big fan of Sergio Leone.
But it was more he wanted to make sure he had something about, he had like one neck wrinkle and he just hated that being focused on. So he would, anyways, the other thing he did that was a little funny was that whenever anyone would take a photo with him, you couldn't just be like, "Hey, Eric, let's take a photo." He would take your phone out of your hand and he would aim the selfie how he wanted it, like that. And then he would take it. And that's the only way you can take a photo of Eric Roberts is if Eric Roberts has your phone in your hand and he's hit the button.
That's funny. That is hilarious.
Like, so there's no, that's why if you see when I posted photos, there's never a group photo of us, like the crew and him, unless it's a behind the scenes photo he didn't see, but there's never like a group photo of us all like, staged for it, because he won't do it. The only way he'll do it is if it's one person and him and he's holding the camera.
Okay, so I want to time this out correctly. Okay, so we've gotten a lot of good information going on. We're at a good time span. What I want to do though is we are still going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to end out on future projects. Okay,
Sounds
so
good.
we're going to talk about the future, and I'm going to go a little more extensive into it than I normally would. So we'll talk about future projects you have coming up, and then we'll talk about future goals in life.
Don't overcomplicate
So we're going to take a 5-minute break. Do not disconnect. My two guests, do not disconnect. Just put the phone down. It'll go to our little black be back in 5 minutes screen. But we'll be back in 5 minutes. Give you a chance to go to the restroom, get a drink, whatever. Mark will then go and get his lightsaber and start practicing because we're going to do a solo acrobatic move to bring us back in.
Who is that?
You see the little kitty, Lola?
I wish I had a pet.
But anyway, you guys,
Everybody
hey,
has
for you
a
watching at home, we love you. And remember, you're watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. Remember, always dream. We will be back in 5 minutes, you guys.
Ooh.
A little bit.
Do we hit anything?
Are we
No,
still on?
Yeah,
y'all can go to the bathroom, get some coffee.
Oh, I thought you put it for free. Okay. All right.
It's a pain in the hiney, but you know, my stepson was scheduled to play the Stagecoach with Fred Young, canceled, and then he was also going to be on a European tour, canceled. They brought the whole band back.
Come on, cat.
Oh.
Alright.
But we're back in 5 minutes to go into the red room. Hey, Mark. Mark. Hey, Mark. 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 Hey, Mark. 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 Hey, Colten.
Yeah.
You know, I went old school, man. I was telling Jenna about this earlier, man. You remember Dragon Age 2?
The game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played it since it came out, which is what, like 12 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
I went, it was for $9 on Steam. Right before we started, I downloaded it, man. I'm going to play it tonight. You remember Dragon Age 2? Yeah, I was like, man, I haven't played that forever, dude. I'm going to do some nostalgia.
Yeah, with the coronavirus
I went, it was for $9.
I was bored out of my mind, and did you ever play those games Fallout?
I did, yeah, all of them, yeah.
So they're actually one of the reasons why I got into filmmaking in the first place. And so I bought Fallout New Vegas. I got Oblivion.
New Vegas, I thought was the best one.
Oh hell yeah! But I got Oblivion, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 3 just because I've been sitting around doing nothing for the past 2 months.
Yeah, the last couple I've been about, but the Fallout Vegas to me was the best one.
Oh yeah, Fallout New Vegas. That was
New Vegas, I
yeah.
thought was the best
And the thing is, I don't really have a whole lot of time to game anymore. But this downtime, Fallout 3, like I said, I've been getting. I bought all those just to get the stuff I played.
Dude, I've always been a gamer, but when I grew up, it was Odyssey and then Atari and then Coleco and then Commodore 64 and then.
That must have been a huge jump to go from that to like GTA 5 or something.
No, well, I went from that to like Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then up all the way through. But yeah, that's why I laugh when like younger people say, "Oh well, we got games nowadays." I'm like, "Motherfucker, we had games back then. I don't know what the fuck you're talking." It's usually an excuse because I'll say, "How can you go?" With my nephew, I'm like, "How can you never actually go outside and do shit?" And he's like, "Well, we're not like you. We have games now." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I had games when I was a kid. What are you talking about that we loved? But we still went outside and played." with my nephew. I'm like, did all that stuff, came home, had dinner, and then the rest of the night was playing video games. Well, we're not like you. We have you can't be using that as an excuse for why you don't do any physical exercise, man. It's like, come on. But we still went out.
So that's like my parents. They're the ones that got me into Sonic.
Came home, had dinner, and then the rest
and old school Mario.
Yeah, Sonic. I remember. I never got into Mario, but I remember playing Sonic. The little blue guy when you could roll and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, you ready? Mark. Put your headphones on.
Mario.
Yeah, Sonic. Mark. I never got into Mario, but I remember playing Sonic. Mark.
I think he's smoking.
No, he has a sound hooked up to his headphones. So literally, like, if it's not on his head. Mark, put your headphones on. Mark,
there we go.
Mark, holy cow, dude. Like waving at you, you're sitting there like looking up and down.
I was having a conversation.
On his head. All right, guys, we're ready to go back in. Let's start.
All right.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation.
Mark, holy cow, dude. And you guys missed it, dude. He did a quadruple backflip with his lightsaber, almost broke his light fixture above. All right, guys, we're ready to go back in. Let's start.
Right.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation.
Mark, holy cow, dude. Are we ready?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, guys. Hey, welcome back. We're back. Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, episode 34. We got Jenna and Colten, amazing guests. So let's go back to Jenna. Jenna, what is a future project that you have coming up that you're excited and passionate about? And not the one we already talked about, which is your current kind of stuff, but something a little further out.
Yes, actually, a total heart project of mine is coming up, and something that I've been wanting to do for years. And this is the perfect podcast to share things like that, because I told you that I'm trained in musical theater, so that was always my first love and something I wanted to do. And there's something very specific I always wanted to do, and that is performing for musical theater composers in New York. So it is a very small community, but a very specific thing that I've been dreaming about doing. And I'm finally having the opportunity to do so this year. And it was a plan to perform in October at one of the CD release parties at one of my favorite composers' events. And it is also not only that, but also that I have had the opportunity to perform an original song that he actually wrote for me, based on a story that I pitched to him. So this is a total dream come true for me. I remember watching those guys on YouTube, their shows, and they bring in singers to sing their songs. And so I'll be finally part of that as soon as this whole thing continues here. And so, yeah, that's something I'm very, very passionate about, and I'm so looking forward to.
Very beautiful, you guys. And hey, for you at home that hear an accent from Jenna, just to let you know, she's originally Mongolian, so she has like a Mongolian accent.
Right, I could be whatever you want.
Oh man.
No, she's Austrian, right? You're Austrian?
Yes, I grew up in Vienna. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to rib you a little bit. So yes, for yous out there, she's not Mongolian, she's Austrian. So, but anyway, no, that is very cool. That is very cool. I did some plays when I was living in Hawaii, Grapes of Wrath, played Connie Rivers, and then played the March Hare in more of a adult version of Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
So I wasn't really my shtick, because I've tried acting and I can do acting, but it's not really my thing. The few acting gigs I've done in my own films, they were more forced upon me because I had an actor bow out at the last second or whatever, and so then I had to end up doing the role. But I will never do that again, dude, because you literally miss too much as a director trying to be in front of the camera. Yeah,
well, I think we can be anything though, right? I mean, we can be those butterflies to be behind and in front of the camera, but I agree. I like to be in front of the camera and playing roles. So
No, and a lot
I
of the
love-
directors that are directing and they're the leads, they're not really directing. I remember I was a stand-in on Argo with Ben Affleck, Ben Affleck was supposedly directing, and he's the lead in it. But literally, I was on it for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and literally his DPs were doing all the directing. Really, you know what I mean? Like his DPs were literally doing like 98% of all the directing, even though Affleck got the directing credit. Literally his DPs were literally doing almost all of it. But
I think it's very important that we try different things, you know, to see if we like it or not, because otherwise it just remains a dream. And
I just think it's very difficult to be a director and be the actor in it. I just think you end up not doing either one as well as could be done. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's very.
But you also understand a lot, you know, about the frame, and I think it's very important to see both sides and maybe get to know more of both sides.
True. I think it's good to know those things. I think it's good to understand, especially from a directing standpoint, it's good to understand how all your crew works. You know what I mean? It was one of the main reasons why I wanted to, why I made a living doing background and stand-in in LA was that I got to sit there and just especially stand-in, watch every single department work.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
as a stand-in, you deal with really every department. You know what I mean? Like, you're dealing with your DP, you're dealing with your gaffer, you're dealing with the director, you're dealing with the actors, you're dealing with literally watching everybody work. So it was
I think that's so important. I mean, there was a time in my life where I wasn't able to support myself through acting and modeling. So I did audience jobs. I went to audience work.
Oh, that stuff's brutal. I think I did that like twice. I would never do that again. Like,
but I have to say, I went a lot. I went to Dr. Phil a lot, and I learned a lot. But I also learned a lot about the production process. And I noticed that with my talk show that I have right now, it actually helps me to understand the process of, you know, what's part of a talk show production. So even that was not for, you know, happened for some reason that I was being able to be part of that. So yeah, I think it's good to see different things from different perspectives and try out different roles.
I agree with you. I think it's very beautiful to do that and stuff. Hey, go ahead, Colten.
I think the only thing I've seen in the film community, and I see it way too much where it becomes kind of like laughable to me, is I meet a lot of people, and again, I won't say their names, but where they think they can just become a director like that. Like it's like, you know, getting a haircut or something. And more than likely their movies.
They do the same thing with writing, Colten.
But I mean, I use this as an example, right? The past couple of months, you know, because I gain and lose weight because I have a bad habit of eating bad food on set. And last year I was on a lot of sets. Anyways, I'm losing, you know, some weight. But like I joked to my main actor, you know, for a project I'm going to be doing in a couple of months, I'm not putting myself in my movie as my main actor just because I'm getting myself in shape. That's stupid. I'm a terrible actor. But that's the mindset of a lot of actors and actresses I bump into, including that person I was telling you about.
They all can be directors.
They could be a great actor. I know plenty of great actors. That doesn't mean you're going to even be a half decent director. And my point is, I agree with you about, you know, it's good to try different departments out, get a feel for everything to understand film. But the problem I have is that they think they can go from acting to clapping their hands and saying, "Hey, give me money. I need to make a movie. I need to finance."
Yeah, but do you know how many directors I've met that think because they're a good director or that makes them a good writer?
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm just saying I've seen so many actors that I ask them about, what do you want to do in the future? And then they're like, oh, I wrote this script, and it's their first script, and they're like, and I'm going to get it financed, and I'm going to direct it. And I'm like, good luck with that.
The problem is some of these guys, because of who they know, they do get it financed, and then it ends up.
Oh, these are barely SAG actors and actresses.
And then it ends up being like crap. There's a lot of them like that. But what was I going to say? I remember. Oh my lordy. I remember working. I'm not going to name the show, but I was a stand-in on a show that was actually produced by Michael Bay. I mean, he didn't have his hands in it, but he put up a bunch of the money. And the writing was absolutely like bad, and they were spending over like $1 to $2 million per episode. and literally the writing was like horrid. And then I find out that all the writers came from this one writing camp where you had to know people and pay like 20 grand to get in that writing camp. And then that writing camp was owned by the showrunners of the TV show. So they're getting kickbacks from these, making money off these writers paying to be in this writing group. And then they're hiring those writers to be the writers on a show that's like spending a couple mil per episode. And then the writing was like just trash, dude. And I'm like going, oh my God, man, like literally. And unfortunately, Hollywood, a lot of Hollywood works like that. It works.
Absolutely. I went to the screening event for the Stranger sequel, and which was, I think, called Stranger Prey at Night, which came out about 2 years ago. And I also got to go to the screening event for the Slender Man movie. And both movies, I was invited there as a guest, and I kept my mouth shut because I'm respectful of people. But all I was thinking, and it was the same thing that the friends that I knew that were there were like, wow, what a big ass waste of money. Like when we saw the budget, and we're like, this is the like I'm thinking as a director, I'm like, there's no way in hell I would allow any like the movies were so bad that it's the kind of movie that you laugh at because it's so stupid. Like it like that, like, there's scenes that the director had actors do things that were so laughable, and you're like, like, and you look up the IMDb of the director, and he's never directed anything else. So I'm like, who are you? What casting couch were you on to get this job? How did you get to direct a $10 million horror movie?
No, hey,
you know what? I have to chime in here. I have to chime in here, guys, because this is a Dreamers podcast, right? So I think that everybody needs the opportunity, though, to make their dreams come true, whatever that is, right? And
no,
if
I'm
that
all
is
about dreamers, but I'm also a big guy in like earning stuff. You know what I mean? Like putting the work in to earn it. And unfortunately, a lot of times in Hollywood, people can get things without actually earning it because of who they're related to, who they know, who they.
Yes, but I mean about around the judgment of what's good and what's not good. It's kind of it's hard to tell because I think everybody has a different perspective on what's good and what's not.
I mean, and there's definitely, you can go things from like a stylistic thing, like that's not really my style of film, but it is a very well-made film, well-written, well-acted, whatever, like, but it's not just not my style or genre or whatever I like or dislike or whatever it is. So I think it's always important to, before bashing anything, to understand that it's maybe not a bad film, maybe it's just not your style of film. But then there are films that are just horribly made. So I mean,
that's how this movie was. I mean, there's a scene in the movie where literally a dad tells a bunch of college students, because they have to have the excuse, why can't they call the police? And in my head, I thought of a million other better reasons right there. But they had this stupid thing where they have these college kids that are in their mid-20s, and the dad's like, it's family time. I need everyone's cell phone. And then he puts every cell phone in a bucket and then puts it in a room away so the killers can get the phone. And all I'm thinking is, God, there's a bajillion
because they basically did a cheap, easy thing to push forward whatever they were trying to do.
Yeah, to have the excuse of why can't someone call the police? But it seemed like that's all I saw it as. Is this seems stupid? It makes no sense. And what honorable director in their mind would not on set say, "Hell no, we're not filming it that way. We're gonna."
No, you gotta have legitimate reasons. And I think I posted this the other day. Is number one thing I tell young filmmakers is do not break your world. Do not. The key to a successful film is immersion, keeping people immersed in whatever you created, whether it be music, whether it be film, whatever. The key to success is that it's good enough to keep people immersed in whatever you created, so that they're not thinking about anything else. They're immersed in the world you created, the characters you created, the whatever. So the worst thing you can ever do is break that immersion. And what you're saying happened was they did something very cheaply that made no logical sense, that made no reason sense. And it was a cheap ploy to push whatever story agenda they were trying to do. And what it did is it broke immersion. It broke you.
Yeah,
like that would never happen. Now all of a sudden I'm out of the film and I'm like, my immersion is broken. So literally I can't be into this film anymore.
Yeah. What it was the same thing in that movie Strangers with again, the first movie was good, but it was made by a competent director and a way more competent.
Well, and then a lot of times they sell the IP.
Yeah,
and then it's made by different people.
you know, the director also, and again, I'm mocking the director because he was a first-time director, which shows me he had very little experience probably thinking in a chaotic environment. But he, you know, the main hero had a shotgun in his hand, right? And you know, again, you have to have the excuse of why in a horror movie does a hero not have a gun. The rule in a horror movie is if the hero gets a weapon or a phone to call the police or a car, they're safe. You know, scariness over. So the character literally puts the gun down in the building and then decides to walk through the building. I'm like, what human being, if you know there's killers walking around, what person on earth that's like normal?
No, I get it, dude. I see it all the time. I hear you.
It was like, like who would do that?
I hear you.
And then the killer.
It's almost as bad as when I watch films and you see a guy cock a shotgun, he still hasn't shot it, and then 30 seconds later he's cocking the shotgun again. You're like, dude, that is just horrible filmmaking, dude. He still hasn't shot the goddamn shotgun. Why would he be? I understand you like that sound and you think that actor looks great cocking the shotgun, but literally, quit having him cock the shotgun until he shoots the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I saw, and it's not even that great of a TV series. Now, the one thing you can garner from even badly made films is, and the same thing in bad writing, is sometimes they do something that's interesting, even in badly made stuff. And like I've been watching a sci-fi new TV show called The Vagrant Queen, and it's really not that great. But they did something I've never seen before that I thought was so amazing. I might have to like try it in my feature we shoot at the end of the year. And what it was is in fight scenes. Now they use a much brighter color palette than I would use, but in fight scenes, in the middle of these fight scenes, it's a sci-fi, so lasers shooting all that stuff. They do. Remember that thing that got popular a ways back where everybody froze and the camera moves through and everybody's frozen?
Yeah.
It became very popular for everybody to do it for a while. So they did this in the middle of fight scenes. All of a sudden, everybody would freeze. There's light, like laser bolts frozen in midair. There's like a guy in the middle of a karate chop kick. And like the whole scene with like 10 enemies and actors, and the whole thing was frozen.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden they would cut back into action. You know what I mean? And it created such an artist palette and creative. It was a very creative thing. And even though the series isn't that good, they do it every episode periodically because there's a lot of fighting. It's a sci-fi Star Wars-y type show. And they do it every scene, every episode. They do it at least once where in the middle of a giant brawl, they do it in a way where everybody is positioned to make this painting almost, you know, this picture that's just like a amazing piece of art that's all frozen. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what? This show's not even that great, but that was very innovative. That whole concept they've been doing is very interesting and innovative. So I think even in writing or bad film, I think sometimes you can still garner something from it because they did one thing good or they did one thing that was interesting. Now, there are some films that are just shit all the way through, but.
And I think sometimes also if you don't know too much, it's sometimes even better because you find new ways of doing things, you know, and you're more creative. And this is what I love about.
Like I said, I saw that and I'm going to probably steal that for Blade and Blood.
Yeah.
You know,
and,
it's like Sergio Leone. He's the one that created this, literally. He is the one that did that shot that's like this, and Good, Bad, and the Ugly, all that kind of stuff that's super tight. Before him, tights were considered this. You know what I mean? And then Sergio Leone did it where it's like here, from your eyebrows to like below your mouth. And now he did that all the way through Good, Bad, and the Ugly. He did that with like a lot of stuff. Nowadays, people use that all over the place, man. Those tight Leone shots. And but he's the one that created that. Same thing with Raimi and The Quick and the Dead. Sam Raimi and The Quick and the Dead. That whole push-pull shot of like, did you ever see Quick and the Dead, Colten?
I've seen Evil Dead. I know what you're talking about, like when
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, when he's quickly swooping through the forest.
Yeah, and he does that. Yeah. It's like a push-pull camera move. Yeah. It's like does this.
Yeah, it almost makes the camera feel alive.
Yeah, and he's the one that created that, but now a bunch of people use that. You know what I mean? And then do you know he just got hired to do the new a new Marvel flick? I forget
Doctor
which one
Strange
he's
too.
doing, but
It's Doctor Strange too.
yeah. I thought that was a great choice. I didn't really like his Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stuff, but he's still a very creative director, so I thought that was a good choice. But anyway, let's get back on to we're gonna go back to Jenna. Colten, we talked to you about we didn't because we got off on the tangent. We were talking to Jenna.
Yeah.
So Colten, what is a future project you got coming up that you really are passionate about?
So I kind of have two. I have my Fruit of the Poisonous Tree script, which that's like my baby that I wrote that over the course.
Dude, I
of
remember that was when I
Yeah.
first became friends with
Yeah.
you on Facebook. Dude, you were trying to do that like 3 years ago or something.
I didn't want to make it on a low budget. So as of now, the only thing I can say is we have actors such as Doug Jones contracted to do the film. So we've just been building the project bigger and bigger.
No, I hear you, dude. We've been working on Blade and Blood for like 4 years, dude. So I hear you.
And then I was hired to direct, which is something you were talking about, a zombie project you did, earlier on the show. Well, I'm directing a film, and again, I'm under NDA, so I gotta be careful how I explain it. But think Reservoir Dogs meets the original, Night of the Living Dead. So it's a Reservoir Dogs mafia story.
I like Tarantino and I like Romero, so there you
go. But basically, we're like these mobsters get back from a heist, and they slowly discover that there's a zombie apocalypse that's starting, and so they're kind of like the anti-heroes of it. So it's got feelings of like Day of the Dead.
All right, convince them to do ghouls and whites though, man. Ghouls and whites.
Talk to the writer and producer.
Ghouls, man. They got paralytic touches.
Combination,
they can do the same thing as zombies, except they do it with their hands. If they slash you.
And mobsters, like mobsters and zombies. I mean, that's the ultimate combination of my dream role.
Hold on,
it has a lot of comedy in the script, which I'm excited because I haven't really directed a comedy besides short films. I've never done a feature, but it has a lot of that comedy like Reservoir Dogs, where the violence is going to be.
What was that one zombie film that was like comedic though, with the English actors from like Shotgun and Two Smoking Barrels?
The Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But basically, the whole film takes place in one location. Like we're filming at this warehouse location in LA, in the outskirts of it, which is some desert area. But like the movie opens up with their car pulling into the garage and them shutting the garage. You should
check out that film that Scorsese produced. He didn't direct it; he produced it, but it came out only like 3 years ago, and all of it takes place in a warehouse, one location, and it was really good. It was like 70s Boston, gun deal gone bad. Scorsese produced it. It was only came out like 3-4 years ago. Something about guns or free guns or free fire.
Oh,
free fire.
No, I've
that
never
was
heard
all
of it.
in one location, a warehouse, and you should see how that guy shoot it. Once you see it, you understood why Scorsese backed it. It was good actors, good dialogue. It all literally the whole 2-hour movie is in a warehouse. And it's all about this dialogue going back and forth between these guys shooting at each other and people dying. It was really good. I'm pretty sure it's called Free Fire.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and the funny part about it, Jenna, is I was surprised Colten took this gig because they said that they wanted him to show up at set every day in a G-string bikini, and he agreed to it. Man, I was like, Colten, really, dude? Really, you're gonna show up at set every day
G-string
in a
bikini?
Man, all right, dude.
Comfortable.
You're setting feminism back like a decade, dude.
Yeah,
Gotta try new things.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll come to set on my yellow polka dot bikini.
Wait, you said you like wearing a yellow polka dot bikini?
No, I said I'll come to set in a yellow polka dot bikini.
Ooh.
In a dress. Yes.
In a dress, yes.
Colten, you're sometimes so serious, man. We gotta lighten you up a little bit.
Yeah. I need a
It's
beer
okay,
or two.
dude. The first key in life as an artist and creator is to be able to laugh at yourself, man. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. I was blessed because I was born with the name Glasscock. So if I didn't learn how to laugh at myself very quickly, it would have been a very detrimental life for me. You know what I mean? So
Well, I will say this. I do love laughing at my old projects. Like I don't like to me this is the funny part, right? Every filmmaker is gonna grow, and every filmmaker's made one horrible piece of shit movie or short film. It doesn't matter. Everyone's made a piece of crap that's laughable. But there's some filmmakers like I'll laugh at crap. If you showed me something that was a piece of crap from like 10 years ago, more than likely I'm probably gonna laugh at it and I'm gonna find it funny. But it's the same thing for me. I'm not a hypocrite. I've actively posted. I directed my first feature film that we put up online, and it was a horror movie called Coming Home. And I was a high school student when I directed it. I made it on no money, like $1,000, and it's as bad as something like Birdemic or The Room. And every year, when it's the year anniversary since it came out, I will actively post the YouTube channels that make fun of the movie. My films ended up on like that YouTube channel, Everything Wrong With. But like all these other filmmakers, they'll be like, oh no, all my films are hard, all this. And like there was this really crappy film shot in Arizona last year, and I paid
any indie filmmaker that had like almost no budget and shot a film, there's going to be something not great about that film. I mean,
but I'm saying my film was like laughably bad because I was 17 when I was directing it. My DP didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was a high school friend of mine, and I had my high school sweetheart playing the villain of the movie. I mean, like, because she was a goth chick, so I just was goth evil, I guess. Like, so we made her look cartoonish, but like, and I was the main actor in the movie too, because I couldn't get someone to act in the film as the main character. And so, but it's so cringe, but I love going back to it. Like there's a scene where we did a car crash scene, and again, obviously I couldn't afford to do a car crash. We were making it was like, so literally I had my, this is the best part, I had my mom play my mom in the film, but then she also played a sheriff. Then I had my teacher who kind of looked like my mom play my mom, and she played the sheriff. So they were interchangeable. But there's a scene where we get in a car crash, and I put a camera outside of the vehicle and filmed inside. And I just told my mom and me to swing our hands like we were in a roller coaster. And then I found this CGI cheesy ass effect of a squad car flipping over. And that was, I mean,
you guys are probably too young, man. But I was just nostalgia watching Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, which is like a late 70s, early 80s TV show. Came out right after Star Wars was all popular, and literally I loved it as a kid. So I had all these fantasies about how great it was, and so I'm watching it now, like, which is what, like 40 years later, and I'm like, it was so hard to watch, man. It was literally like they were so cheap. Where you're seeing, like, as a filmmaker now and stuff like that, I see all this crap I didn't see when I was like 8. You know what I mean? Like watching it, and it was like so difficult to watch because it was literally like all this reused footage I didn't catch, where you're like they're supposed to be fighting a different in spaceships. There's supposed to be 8 of them, but then you see all these clips of showing the spaceships. There's only 6. And they keep saying there's 8, and then they're fighting these new enemy. They're supposed to have different spaceships, but all of a sudden you see these clips and cut edits of them fighting, and they're using spaceships from the enemy they fought in the last episode to save money, and you're like, oh wait, what, dude? And oh my god! So I get it, dude. They even and back then that was like a big show for what was it, on NBC or something like that, or ABC. And it was a huge show with big actors, and I'm like, oh my god, man! But how far we've advanced in 40 years, no matter how good a show you think it was back then, you've become so accustomed to good special effects and good fight scenes and good all that stuff that trying to watch crap from 40 years ago, you're like, wow, I can't watch this, man. It's like literally like it's such bad special effects and bad like everything that you're like, oh my god.
Well, shoot, even if you go back 10, 15 years ago, the average American was watching, cheesy ass CSI, NCIS. Now we have shows like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Mindhunter, Ozarks. The show's quality level is so much higher than what families and people watched, a decade or two ago.
Although Breaking Bad and Ozark and all that stuff, brilliant writing, brilliant acting. I had a hard time getting in it just because of the theme. Like Breaking Bad, I just could not get into because it's about crackheads. And I had just no interest in watching. Now I've watched shows of it or episodes of it. Brilliant writing, brilliant acting, brilliantly done. I just couldn't get into it thematically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I just mean the risk that television's allowed to take now because of the streaming services. It's a lot. Like I said, like, you know, if you go back to the 2000s, there were so many police, procedural dramas.
Everything, yes.
That it was.
That started with. That really started with Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, and because I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was the hype of that, like where everyone wanted to do a procedural drama. You know, there was a point where we had 3 CSIs, 3 NCISs. So that's 6 shows just right there, all playing at the same time. It's like, do we really need that many crime scene shows?
No, but everybody does that, man. I remember when I was, like I told you before, I was doing background acting and stand-in for 8 years in LA. And almost every episode, when I first moved there, almost every TV show was on would figure out a excuse. It doesn't matter what the theme of the TV show was. They tried to figure out an excuse to be at a strip club. So they could sit there and show titties and show all that stuff. Doesn't matter what it was, whether it was cop procedural, family show, whatever the hell it was. There was an excuse made for the characters to be in a strip club so they could show scantily clothed women. Then it became gay. So then it became every show figured out an excuse to have a gay character and go into like some gay bar. And I was just like, it's just TV, dude. They just, whatever's popular. Then bullying came for a little while. That was actually pretty short-lived. But for a little bit there, anti-bullying was the big thing. So literally every TV show tried to figure out a way to talk about bullying.
I remember that. Did you ever watch that show Burn Notice?
I think I was on it when I first moved to LA, and then it got canceled or something.
Well, anyways, it's a show about a former spy.
No, I remember. It's a guy from Army of Darkness.
Yeah, but it's Bruce Campbell's like the second main character in it. But you're right. The first pilot episode of that, they have this badass spy guy who's the main character of the show, and they spin a subplot teaching a kid how to defend himself from bullies. And I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be a CIA operative, spy, special ops guy, and you're spending an episode. The subplot of the story was getting a kid out of being bullied by people, and it seems so cheesy, but you're right.
No, and I mean literally. And right now, because of what we're gonna go through, you're gonna see 100 million people all try to do a script about some deadly virus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it, because there's a lot of people that aren't the most skilled and aren't the most talented that are just trying to like take the cheapest, quickest route to, in their minds, become famous and become well known.
They just did that in Arizona. I'm not kidding. There was this horribly shot. They shot the feature film in 8 days, and it looks like, I mean, even the crew that worked on it, they're my friends, and they're like, dude, this looks like crap. It does. It looks horrible. But it's called anti-coronavirus.
No, believe me, I'm in North Texas, dude. If I see another badly made horror film up here, I'm gonna like fucking croak, dude. Like literally, like that's literally all you see up here is, hey, we got like $5,000. I'm gonna shoot like this really shit horror film. It's like badly acted, badly written, badly directed, and then I'm gonna sell it to like Asia so that I can like become famous. Like literally,
okay.
I get you, man. I mean, I've never been like that. Every film I write, I want to write it so that it blows shit out of the water and wins shit and is art, you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean the opposite, because you have guys that are trying to like, I'm making this artistic vision that is like literally not appealing to anybody. It might be a great artistic vision, but there's got to be a balance there. You can make an artistic vision that's also commercially marketable.
Well, what's funny when it comes to artistic vision, what I find hilarious, because I watched it, I've been on sets with some big directors, and I saw how they shot their stuff. And they shot it just like me or you, just like, I need to get this done. This is the scene, and we're going over it. But what I love is when the film school Nazis will be like, oh, Scorsese, he picked red velvet on the blankets because it represents blood and it represents the sacrifice of being in the mafia. It's like, no, he fucking didn't. The DP said that looked good for the shot and made the scene not look bland. But I love all those film videos where they'll like, and of course the filmmakers take credit for it because it makes them seem like a genius.
Hey, dude, my first three films, I had a DP at a film school, dude. dude. And he was very talented, but he was very stuck in film school rules. And it would drive me nuts because he had never done noir and I shoot noir. And so I was telling him to fuck with the lights. And he's like, oh, that doesn't make sense with the light source. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about the light source. This is a short film that's very fucking like avant-garde dramatic. I don't care that it makes sense with the light source, dude. Just light it how I'm telling you to light it.
That's so interesting. I have the opposite experience, actually. I feel like when I work with students, then we create usually better projects and projects that are more free and artistic also with.
It depends on what you're talking about and what kind of project it is.
I mean, also for actors, I think there's more freedom to create with the whole team when you work with students, because I mean, I just think because they're trying new things, you know, they're not so set on who they are already, how they are established. So they're still free. I mean, that's my experience with working with students.
It just depends on what kind of project you're talking about, who it is, and all that stuff. Sometimes, though,
of course, everybody's different.
School-driven people are taught a lot of rules, and sometimes those rules aren't really applicable to actual reality of like real shooting. And so here's an example. So like writing, I've met a lot of people that have like bachelor's or master's degree in writing. That doesn't mean they're good writers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they, even though a lot of them I've met, in their mind that means they're a good writer, but they follow a lot of rule sets. And to me, the thing about art, it's good to know the rule sets. It's good to know the basics, but a lot of times the best art doesn't follow rules. It breaks rules. You know what I mean? So,
well, part of the problem I've had, and this is why I don't ever hire film school people, everyone that's on my team, we're all self-taught, and the film school people are my PAs. They work for me. I never went to film school. The people that have their degrees, I'm their boss. Like, but
well, I'm not gonna blow them because there are people that did do that are good. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. The majority
of them, the problem I have is they're lazy. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying the majority of the ones I've ran into that I've paid for projects, they're typically lazier than the ones that are independently taught, and they also freak out under any chaos. So like they're used to a classroom environment where they train you in the mindset of you're going to have $10 million, you're going to have all these assistants, and this is your one job, which as everyone knows, when you shoot an indie film, no matter who you are, you're going to do multiple jobs on the set. That's just how it is. But I've noticed film school students typically freak out where independent top film people like myself.
Yeah, we talked about this, man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter whether it's independent or not independent. Murphy's Law. When you're shooting film, there's going to be a bunch of shit that goes wrong.
And that's what I mean. The film student people that I've worked with, because I've helped produce some of their short films and stuff. And the slightest thing, they start freaking out. Like we had this one location, and I told the director if he wanted to film there at daytime, they cannot close the location down, meaning you're going to have to film around their audio problems. He told me, okay, what's the first thing he does? He screamed at the property owner because they were talking, and it was nicer apartment complexes will have like a clubhouse you can rent for events. So anyways, I filmed there at nighttime, and I told the director that that's the best time to shoot there because then no one's there. And I told him the clubhouse is attached to the office. But like I said, he didn't listen to me, and he was like, oh, our audio, and he started freaking out. And so instead of thinking like I did, which is, okay, we'll ADR this, or we'll work around it through the shots, he just started yelling at and I'm like, dude, you can't do that.
No, and I hate that, dude. I've had it happen, dude. When you're in the middle of trying to find solutions, someone stressing out in your face is not productive to trying to get shit shot.
Yeah.
Stress out later. Shoot it, figure out a solution now. When we're done, you can stress out all you want.
I guess it really depends on who's working with who's in the team, and I think sometimes they're more professional. Like when I was shooting at Universal, for example, I felt like there was not much freedom to create on the set, to create actually out of the
You're talking about like TV show union TV shows, stuff like that.
They already had. So
especially TV, because they're answering to accountants.
And they have a fast deadline too.
That's like they have a concept already, so there's nothing new happening, I think, sometimes, and I think on these student projects there's a lot of new stuff happening because people are trying and people don't have the pressure of the concept.
No, I
that
agree with you. Although TV is not the best example because TV literally, regular TV is so.
I think in general, yeah.
Clamped down on. That's not the best example. Like, because you have like major feature films and they have some creativity going. Nolan or shooting Batman or whatever. There's some leeway and creativity going. You're talking actually NBC, ABC, CBS TV shows. Those things are like they got to get permission from like 6 different people to change one thing. You know what I mean?
That's where they also say TV's not a director medium too.
No, and they have a different director every episode.
Yeah.
Usually the DPs and the showrunner is the one that's in charge, not the director.
Yeah, but independent filmmakers for sure. Yeah, I know that they're very working very creatively, and this is what I enjoy too the most. If I also get the freedom to try new things and.
No, I get it, and I mean, like Kevin Smith talks about that. The one time he went huge studio film, like big budget film, he said it was the worst time in his entire life when he did what was it? The one with Bruce Willis and the guy from Saturday Night Live. I forget what it was.
Cop Out? Wasn't it Cop Out? Yeah.
Cop Out. Yeah. He said that was the first time he ever went like full studio backing, full studio whatever. It was his worst experience because they told him to just do whatever Bruce Willis tells him to do.
Yeah.
And he was the director. And literally he had to basically, like, Bruce Willis decided everything that happened, from cutting dialogue to what kind of shots he shot.
Bruce Willis has amazing stand-ins, by the way. I don't know if you ever saw them, but they look like him. I don't know if they had surgery, but there were the day when I think it was once Upon a Time in Venice or something like that, the film, and he had 2 stand-ins and they looked just like him. And I thought
I've never heard of an actor that has 2 stand-ins.
Yeah, there were 2. And then he showed up.
One's not a photo double and one's a stand-in, one's a photo double?
I don't know. I don't know what they were doing, but I thought that he was actually on set all day, and then he just showed up for 20 minutes, did his little scene, and disappeared. I was like, okay, that's the real one.
I like Bruce Willis, but I heard he's a handful. As far as the only one he wasn't a handful for, but no one is a handful for him because they all want to be in his films, is when he's worked for Tarantino. But there are actors that, like, literally, actors beg to be in Tarantino films.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, literally.
Well, that's like, Michael Manson, is the same thing where I've heard a lot of stories that he's a little rough to work with, but then I guess apparently when he did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood playing the director character, again, like you said, he was begging to be in that movie.
Yeah, no, everybody, like, literally, even actors that are renowned for being a headache are not headaches to Tarantino, because every Tarantino film escalates their value. You know what I mean? So
of course.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like, if you saw a list of actors that Tarantino had said no to be in his film, like, literally, because also Tarantino is big on taking actors that have fallen out of favor or B-level actors and bringing them up, like Don Johnson, who hadn't done anything in a while. I brought him up. His original films with Travolta hadn't done anything in a long time. He took him out. So, I mean, but that's what you get for being a brilliant writer and director. I mean, that's it's the kudos you get for being able to do both of those well. But anyway, you guys, it has been amazing. It has been insane, but it is getting late. I am so honored to have both of you guys as guests. I hope you had a beautiful time.
Absolutely.
You guys, please support Jenna, support Colten. Colten's a brilliant filmmaker. Jenna's a brilliant spirit and all-around talent, whether it be acting, music, singing, all that kind of stuff. Follow with what they do, support with what they do. They're both beautiful spirits. And of course, I don't want to forget Mark Potter, whose skill with his lightsaber was amazing. It's kind of faltered off the last couple of years because he shattered his lightsaber. But hold on. I want to give big props to Lola, who's always there for me. And then give props to you guys out there. You guys, remember, this is called Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, but it's all about dreaming and doing. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Ooh, there
Challenge
it
right
is.
there, Mark.
Is that a
There's
is
no
that a
battery.
is that an Ultra Saber?
Yeah, Luke Skywalker Ultra Saber.
Oh, I need
Nice.
one of those things. I mean, I have the Star Wars bun already on my.
I got
neck.
it from
You
Disney.
need two more.
Yeah,
So now
have a lightsaber fight.
from Disney.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
all I got is an actual literal glass cock that a filmmaker gave me. So literally, and then he told me it holds temperature. That's it, man. That's all I got.
Well, we'll save that for another
Dude,
segment.
it's very, you know what? You guys can talk later. I want to let everyone at home go, but remember, you guys, always dream and do. Again, dream, do. This is Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. Big, beautiful thoughts to Mark Potter, to Jenna Curtis, to Colten Dietz. Again, big blessings, big love. Keep dreaming, always.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Adios.